Any other questions or comments?
Do you have an idea of a process that we as citizens of this, well, U.S. citizens can help stop any of these wars other than talking to our congressmen or writing our congressmen?
Well, I have a lot of ideas about it, for sure. I don't actually believe in petitioning my congressman because it gives them more power, and they don't have my power. I refuse to allow them to represent me because they don't really represent me, they represent money. So petitioning the government, which is what we all grew up believing that we live in a society where we petition the government, to me that's like petitioning the enemy. That's just how I see it. So, my basic approach is a withdrawal of support model while we recreate sustainable communities from below. This is kind of a Gandhian's two-prong approach, which was you resist and non-cooperate with imperial policies while you're constructing the alternative from below, the self-sufficient alternative from below. You learn to sow, you learn to grow your food. You no longer are dependent upon textiles from England. That was basically one of the issues that they were dealing with in India. Now we have, since World War II, we've been in what I call kind of the fourth or fifth blip in history that has really conditioned our thought structures. I've had to, by the way, I've had to study, anthropology, archaeology, quantum physics, evolutionary biology, psychology, to understand my own journey, to understand how it was so easy for a good kid in my little town in upstate New York to follow orders to go to another country and participate in killing people who I knew nothing about. I didn't know anything about their culture. I just knew that we were good and they were bad because that's what I was raised, how I was raised to think. Now that's pretty astounding. That is really almost beyond grasp. It's been going on for 5,000 to 6,000 years. It's called obedience. It's called obedience to vertical structures. And so my sense is that we've all become addicted to obedience, to our government system, our political system, our economic system, and subsequently we have become addicted to consumerism. Because our way of life is very consumptive, especially since World War II. And so it's a habit. We basically are addicted to having a lot of comfort and convenience, and all that comfort and convenience has come to us from massive exploitation all over the globe. And that's one reason I traveled to 25 countries. And I just stopped traveling because I couldn't deal with it anymore. I didn't want to use the fuel. But I always traveled to meet with villagers and campesinos and peasants around the world because I really wanted to understand their lives and how their lives are being affected by our country's economic and political and military and paramilitary policies. Because it's just always a crime against humanity. It's like, I'm just wrenched constantly by what I was learning. And often being around where people were being murdered and having to then interview the survivors of the assassinations. And then coming back and trying to talk about it in the United States. So it really gave me a very visceral and experiential grasp on the costs of the American way of life on the planet. And so I think we're all kind of complicit in the problem. And so we're also part of the antidote. As much as we're part of the problem, we're part of the solution. But I think to the extent that we believe in our system, that's the extent to which we're not revolutionary. It preempts this. It preempts us from going beyond where we ever thought we could be, because we're pretty used to being comfortable and convenient, and including myself. And yet, that the maintenance of our way of life, and by the way, the working title of my book is Going AWOL for the American Way of Life. As we continue to business as usual, we basically maintain empire. We're the engine of empire. The people of our country, we are the engine. We have these structures that we keep looking to and saying, they're doing this and they're doing that and they're doing that, but we're paying taxes. Many of us vote for Tweedledee or Tweedledum, and we have voracious consumption appetites that require empire to keep maintaining the flow of goods. So we're not locally sufficient. We don't even know how to mend socks anymore. All our manufacturing has gone overseas. So the chickens are coming home to roost, as we all know, and it's from generations of exploiting the planet and the people of the planet beyond anything that could be considered sustainable, morally, biologically, ecologically, at whatever criteria you want to use. So unless there's some kind of what I call it, a epistemological break in our knowledge system, but whatever it is, it's a break that in our thought structure that enables us to get out of the box. And I mean, this is one of my, I do 150 miles a week on this cycle. This has replaced a car for me for the most part. And every 6 feet I move on that cycle is a revolution. I mean, for every rotation of my wheel, I go 6 feet. That's a revolution. In 2006, Bob here and Becky, my wife there, and about 9 others cycled to Seattle to the Veterans for Peace Convention as a statement of transportation policy as an alternative to using fossil fuels to go to an anti-war convention, basically, that we were talking about stopping oil wars while we're using oil to get to the convention. And so in my mind, that is the kind of contradiction we keep, we're caught up in. And it's very, it's very understandable why people would want to fly there or drive there. But on the other hand, to me, we have to look at every choice we're making to become part of a more revolutionary process, because every choice we make has revolutionary implications. But we need to be doing it with one another and sharing it. But as I thought many times when I was in Vietnam, when I started talking about the bombings, people have said, well, did it have any impact? And, you basically have to have the Congress stop the funding or the president stop the war. I couldn't wait for the president to stop the war or the Congress to stop the funding in terms of my own personal response to what I was experiencing.